Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining me once again. I want to respond to an interview that Stephen A. Smith gave about a day or so ago, in which he stated that racism, prepare yourself, is not as prevalent today as the left would like for you to believe. Now, that is not a revelation to me. That is not a revelation to a vast majority of real Americans in this country. That is not a revelation. That is not a mystery. That is not hard to understand for anyone who was born and raised in America. Okay, particularly after the so-called civil rights movement, after the 1960s and the counterculture revolution. Most Americans can vouch for the fact that racism is not as prevalent as it once was decades ago. And it's not as prevalent as liberals and Democrats would have you to believe. But we're going to get into that in a minute. So he basically made that statement, which to a lot of people was shocking, particularly his Democrat base. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to let you guys listen in on this audio clip that he stated. It's about 50 seconds, but I just want to give you some information. I personally like Stephen A. Smith. I think he's very entertaining as a sports commentator. I kind of get aggravated at a lot of these sports commentators getting into delving into politics and causing so much division, But at any rate, I like him as a sports commentator. Even though I don't keep up with sports that much, I like him as a sports commentator. He's exciting, he's funny, and he's entertaining. And I like that, okay? I really, really like that about him. What I don't like more often than not is the fact that he tends to simp out to the left. He'll make a statement and then come back and then apologize for it. And I'm like, well, man, stop simping, bro. Just stand on what you believe. But he can't do that because he's being paid by the left. So he has to come back and apologize, on stuff that he shouldn't be apologizing on, particularly when it comes to right and wrong and common sense, something that the far left just does not have, okay? Yeah, that's the thing that aggravates me most about Stephen A. Smith. But at any point, what he says here is right on point, and we're going to get into that. So let's get right into this article here. And it states, Stephen A. Smith has made some comments that will not be appreciated by the Democrat base whose support he may or may not seek to have in 2028. I don't think he should seek their support, but hey, if you're going to be in between, I don't know, man. You're going to have to take sides if he decides to run. But anyway, the ESPN hot take dispenser, funny, continued his media tour in advance of what appears to be a bid for the Democratic nomination in 2028. In an interview with CBS's Robert Costa, Smith said he is not concerned about racism as a barrier to his political aspirations. Not only that, he downplayed the role of racism in general America. And so here's what he had to say here. Let's see. Here's his words.
Does you worry about racism if he ran for president?
No. I know it exists. I know that you can't escape it, but I do not believe it is as prevalent as some on the left would like us to believe. I do believe a vast majority of Americans judge you on the content of your individual character rather than the color of your skin. I think a lot of people in America, especially in this day and age, now more so than ever before, it's not about race. It's about the fact that they don't give a damn about it because they got their own problems. That's entirely different.
Did you hear what he said? I agree. And I think I said something right around that same area some time ago, that most Americans, particularly white Americans, do not care about being racist toward black people or people that don't look like them or any of that. They have too many of their own issues to be dealing with to spend all their time belittling and looking down on black folks. I mean, for one, they're probably not going to even bother for the simple fact that we live in such a fragmented society that they don't want the headache of black people acting like a bunch of idiots and fools. Why you look at me like that? You racist. Why you smile at me? That's racism. Why you frown at me? That's racism. Why you pass gas where I'm at? That's racism. Why you twerking next to me? That's racism. That's racist. What they call it, appropriation. Don't do that. You twerking. Don't do that. We black people are the one created twerking. Stop it. White folks don't have no time for that dumb, ignorant nonsense. So they stay away from it. That's been my observations. They don't have time for it. They don't want to deal with the headache. They don't want to deal with the opposition. They got jobs to go to. They got kids to take care of. They got husbands and wives to deal with. They got school that they're trying to go through. They're trying to deal with bills and mortgage and rent and rest. Just like every other person in this freaking country, they don't have time for it, period. I agree with Stephen A. Smith here, and I think most people who live in America and been in America any amount of time, and it's not delusional like so many far-left liberal nutbags are, know that that's the truth. Anyway.
Different than believing they are superior to you and they want to hold you back from ascending. That's not what's going on to the degree that it was decades ago. What's going on now is that we have more white Americans and others suffering and worried about the state of our nation. And because they're concerned about that, that's where their worries lie.
Now he makes a statement suffering and worrying about this, that, and the other, and I think that's a direct affront towards Trump. Like, oh my God, Trump is just so. But let's be realistic, folks. Since Trump has been in office, what has happened in this country this bad? That's really bad. What happened? Has inflation increased or decreased? Even if it decreased a little bit, have it increased or decreased, particularly speaking? Yeah. No one can really say. Most Americans are not directly affected by the policies that Trump has put in place since he's been in office for a little over a year. They have not been affected negatively. For the most part, only those that have been affected negatively have been people in government positions that were fired or let go because they weren't doing anything. And to be real, why are you in these offices and these jobs and you're not doing anything? I'm paying these individuals that were fired out of these government office positions in federal government. I'm paying, as well as millions of other working Americans, for their salary to do absolutely nothing. So Trump got rid of them. Let's curb the budget. And part of the way we curb the budget is to get rid of people that's not doing anything. They're not doing anything. Taxpayers shouldn't be paying for. What's wrong with that? How is that an immoral thing? How is that a bad thing? It's bad to the person that loses their job, but you lose your job because you're not doing nothing. Isn't that supposed to be how things work? How do I look coming to work, not doing my work time and time again, and expect the employer to pay me? That's stupid. Common sense, man. I'm probably going to get fired. Duh. That's about the only people that were affected by the policies that Trump put in place. But let's be realistic. Okay. Now the other thing people say, well, okay, yeah, he's going over there with imperialism, taking these countries, doing this country. That's another video in and of itself, and there's a point to that as well. That I might want to talk about that as well, but not in this video. But anyway, we're not directly impacted by any policies that Trump has put forth as negatively affecting Americans. So when Stephen A. Smith made that statement about white people in general here in America are concerned and they're scared, okay, I get it. You got to say this kind of stuff because if you eventually become nominated as a Democratic nominee, of course you're going to have to stand up against, either J.D. Vance or someone and be able to have, some kind of oppositional skill set to be able to oppose the Trump administration or the former Trump administration, whom J.D. Vance is a part of. I get it. But is that really accurate? I don't think so. I don't think most Americans are worried per se at this point. I think the only people that are worried are people that watch the mainstream media, and the stuff that the mainstream media is pushing is putting people in a state of terror and fear. The mainstream liberal media is the culprit of almost all the fears and concerns that people have. When the mainstream media says everything is okay, everybody's happy. When the mainstream liberal media says everything is hellish and Trump is horrible and he's a Nazi and he's racist and all that, everybody's unhappy. But why are they unhappy? Are they unhappy when they go because Trump is somehow doing something on their job or doing something in the neighborhood? No. They're unhappy because of what they're hearing in the news. That's why they're unhappy. So that's where the fear and apprehension comes from. It's coming from the mainstream liberal media that's pumping lies into millions of people's heads. I wish people would wake up, smell the coffee, and stop watching these clowns, because that's who's pumping this nonsense. But anyway, let's go on. Article goes in. However, a declaration that racism is not a barrier to the upward mobility of minorities is not likely to sit well with the Democratic base and leadership that has spent the last nearly 60 years trying to convince all within earshot that racism is the single biggest issue in confronting the country. I totally agree with that editorial commentary in the article, end of article there. I totally agree that is what the Democratic Party has been pushing for the last few decades, and that was liberals, which are basically a soft form of communism, has been pushing for the last I don't know how long. Oh, God. Everything bad that happened in the black community, everything bad that happened in the brown community is because of systemic racism and white supremacy. I mean, my God, if people generally believe that nonsense, I can kind of understand why they believe it, because they keep watching the same news sources. If you watch the same news sources, you're going to believe their foolishness. But when you live your day-to-day life, you know with your own eyes and experience that 9 times out of 10, that's not accurate. And so Stephen A. Smith is correct about that, in my opinion. He's correct about that, and I would be remiss to say anything. I would be rather not remiss, but I would be disingenuous to admit anything else other than what agreeing with what Stephen A. Smith has said. The number one issue in America is not racism. But I guarantee you, as I'm sitting here, that when it comes time for campaigning, when it comes time for all of the rigmarole and crappy crap stuff, I guarantee you the left and I guarantee you these Democrats are going to keep playing the same scratchy record over and over and over again. Why? Because most black Americans, unfortunately, fall for it time and time again. And then when the Democrats get in office, after they vote for them, then they boo-hoo, crying and complaining about problems in the society, high inflation, crime. Well, you get what you vote for, Dumbo. You voted for them. I told you, most conservatives told you, don't do it. That's a lie. The number one issue in America ain't racism, knucklehead. I mean, it ain't, bro. Come on, let's keep it 100. It's not. The number one issue in America is not racism. Okay? But that's what the Democrats are going to use. That's what the liberal mainstream media is going to use as we get closer and closer and closer to that time. I guarantee you, watch. But I guarantee you, black and brown people going to vote for the Democrats. They're going to do it and put them in office. Let me say this. The mayor of our own city, someone made a statement several days ago and said that the mayor of our city here is a horrible mayor. I mean, he just, well, not in so, but they didn't say it that way, but they blamed a lot of the problems in terms of crime and so forth on the mayor. And I said, okay, yeah, I agree. But I said during the time of the election to reelect the mayor, the people in the city of Cleveland reelected him. I mean, they reelected him. And I said they reelected him because he's a Democrat. And to add to that, he's black. It's like there's something in the brains of so many black people that they automatically go against their cognitive discernment and they vote for these people anyway. And I don't know what's going on with this, the blurriness here, y'all. It's the devil. I'll tell you, it's the devil. It's the devil. I'll tell you, man. It's getting blurry here. But anyway, it's something, it's like certain things to tell them, don't do it. Don't vote for these Democrats. You're going to keep getting the same results if you vote for them. And they'll be like, yeah, man, you know what? And it seems like sometimes you seem like you're making some inroad with them. But then when it comes time to vote, all of a sudden, all the information that made them think prior, it just goes out the door, out the window. It's like that one of their ears becomes a anus, and it opens up and starts doodling out everything that they was told before. Like what's wrong with you, bro? And all of a sudden, I will vote Democrat no matter what. I will do what the Democrats say. I mean, and they vote for them. They get the same dumb results and then cry and complain of crime and this. Look, forget about Trump, bro. I don't want to hear nothing else about what Trump is doing or what he is not doing. That's the mainstream liberal nonsense that people keep letting pump in their head. Let's deal with local issues. What's going on in your city and what's going on in your state? We paying so much attention because we watch the mainstream liberal media. Paying so much attention about the media saying Trump racist and he's a authoritarian racist and a Nazi and all this other stupid ignorant stuff, rather than paying attention to what's going on in our own local communities and in our own state. While our own local communities are falling apart because we keep voting for these Democrats that are soft on crime. Duh, I mean, come on, man. I'm trying to be nice about it. I really am. I'm trying to be nice about it, but it's hard for me to be nice to people who keep running into the same brick wall, doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Look, let me say this and sum this video up. I'm nobody special. Everything I am by the grace of God. When I chose to say, hey, you know what? I've been voting for the wrong political party all this time. It didn't take brain surgery for me to find that out. It didn't take a revelation from God and a vision from God to show me and say, son, you've been voting for Democrats all your life and it's wrong and you are hurting yourself and you're hurting the community. Oh, that ain't what happened. It didn't take 5,000 years for me to understand that. What's my point? My point is if my mind can be open and say, man, maybe perhaps I was wrong, then why won't other people do it? Why won't other black people, Black History Month, huh? Why won't other black people do the same thing? That's why I don't talk to them one-on-one anymore. I do all this in my videos. I get sick and tired of people ignoring common sense. I just do. Stephen A. Smith, man, if you run, okay, we'll see what happens. But I totally agree. The only problem is the Democrats are going to have a fart dome fit. And you probably going to hear some backlash on the mainstream liberal media about what he said. What? Yes, it is. Racism, systemic racism, white supremacy. Watch, they're going to act like a bunch of monkeys when they hear that. Bunch of weeping monkeys. But anyway, yeah. What do you guys think about Stephen A. Smith's comment? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.